Hi guys, it's Ben Heath from Lead Guru, and in this video, I'm going to talk about Facebook ad buying types. There are two options, and it is very, very important that you use the right option. I'm going to talk about which one that is, why it works best in this video. Before I get into that, please click that thumbs up button. That really helps me out and is much appreciated. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you are new and haven't done so already. Okay, so Facebook buying types. I'm in an example Facebook ad account. And we're going to go ahead and just create an example campaign. And the very, very first option, as soon as you click that create button, before you even get to the campaign objectives, is this section here that says buying type. Now you'll see that the default is auction, and the second option here is reach and frequency. And you can see that when I select reach and frequency, I have less campaign objectives. So we need to explain what these are. What is auction? That's the default. Auction is basically how Facebook operates its advertising platform. You compete against other Facebook advertisers in an auction system. They effectively, Facebook have a product, and that's ad real estate, places for you to put your ads in front of Facebook users, Instagram users, etc. And you are operating in an auction. You are saying, I would like to advertise to these people. Please, Facebook, work out, calculate the auction for me automatically. And with an auction system, you basically end up with your price, your cost of Facebook advertising. And it is determined by advertiser competition, how much supply there is, so how many potential ad impressions are available in your target audience, all that sort of stuff. And because of that, you are effectively accepting the market price for Facebook advertising when you use the auction. So if there's a holiday and lots of other advertisers are spending more, or there's more advertising than usual, price goes up. Around Black Friday or Christmas, for example, we see Facebook ads skyrockets because lots of advertisers using auction, and that's causing, more advertiser demand. Basic economics pushes up the cost of Facebook ads. Supply across Facebook and Instagram is very consistent. So I said basic economics, demand and supply sets price, but the supply is pretty much fixed. So it very much is the demand, which is advertiser demand, your competitors, that are going to affect the price. That's the default, and you can see why that's nice and easy and you don't really need to think about it, but it can lead to a lot of fluctuations. So as I said, over Black Friday, particularly depending on what you advertise, you might see your CPMs, your cost per 1,000 impressions, which is typically how we would measure the cost of Facebook ads. When we analyze campaigns, we analyze cost per conversion, nearly always. But when we're thinking about how expensive is a Facebook or Instagram ad campaign, we're often looking at CPM. You might see CPMs double or even triple for the week around Black Friday, for example, depending again on what you're advertising and who you're advertising to, with this auction system, because it's impacted by all these other influences. Other things can be like if it's really nice weather, for example, and less people are on their phones on Facebook and Instagram, that reduces supply, which can affect, again, the cost of Facebook advertising. So that's how the auction system works, and that's the default, and that's what most Facebook advertisers go with. But because of the drawbacks that I just talked about, that led Facebook to create this thing called reach and frequency. Now, with reach and frequency, you are instead of just being subjected to the natural auction system, you are instead able to effectively book in a certain price. So instead of just saying, I'm just going to pay whatever the market's saying I have to pay, I would like to guarantee a certain price for reaching a certain number of people. And you can see why that might sound very attractive. Often with reach and frequency, you end up paying a lot less per 1,000 impressions, so per CPM, than you do with auction. Again, you say to Facebook, look, over the next week, I want to reach this many people. What's the price? Facebook might come back to you in the UK with something like a £3 CPM, whereas your regular conversion campaigns might be operating at a £15 CPM. So the price difference can be absolutely enormous in terms of those 1,000 impressions. And you have the guarantees. So a lot of larger businesses particularly started using reach and frequency because they wanted the guaranteed price. And that's probably more similar to how traditional advertising is operated, where you book in like a certain number of, ad slots on TV programs over the next 6 months, and it's a fixed price, that sort of thing. So that sounds fantastic, but there's one massive issue with reach and frequency, and that massive issue is why you don't want to use it. Because you are saying to Facebook, I want you to guarantee me this price, Facebook is not only incentivized, but effectively has to make sure that they advertise to the lower quality prospects. And by quality, I'm talking about demand, the people that there's less advertiser demand for, in order to fulfill their obligation at that significantly lower price. Like, how is Facebook going to offer you a CPM, a cost per 1,000 impressions, that is, say, 20 or 30% of what it would normally be, unless they put your ads in front of people that other advertisers don't really want to reach? That's how they do it. So, and we know this because we've tested it a whole bunch, and what you'll see is, let's say you run a conversions campaign using the reach and frequency buying type. Facebook will offer you a CPM that, as I said, might be a quarter of what you're used to paying, and you think, wow, this is fantastic, this is going to be the best thing ever. And then you run the campaign, and guess what? Your cost per conversion is nearly always quite a bit higher than through the auction. Now, what that means is that those people are converting so much worse, because if you're paying 25% of what you usually pay, and your cost per conversion is higher than what it usually is, that means that instead of converting, let's say, 1 in 200 people that you advertise to, you might be converting 1 in 2,000 people that you advertise to. The difference is enormous. And Facebook effectively has to do that because that's the only way they can offer the guarantees. It's like, look, Facebook's basically saying, we're going to take on more risk for you as an advertiser by guaranteeing this price with reach and frequency. But in order for them to protect themselves, they have to put your ads in front of people that other advertisers don't want to reach. And you have to remember that if you think about how, say, a conversions campaign works, it works on trying to get you as many conversions as possible for the lowest possible price. Now, you have to think about the fact that there are many, many Facebook and Instagram users that effectively never convert from a Facebook or Instagram ad. That is not unheard of. There are people that do it all the time. There are people who do it a bit, which is going to be most, and there are people who never convert. There are people that advertisers do not want to reach because they just aren't active in that sense. That is not a behavior of theirs. And that'll be true for any form of marketing. This is not just a Facebook Instagram thing. There'll be people that buy based on TV ads all the time and people that never do, and most of us in the middle that do every now and then. And all sorts. That applies to all advertising platforms. So if you really want to have a play with it, do so with an experimental budget, because I would be shocked if it produces better results, no matter what kind of campaign objective you use or what setup you use. And if you want to see the setup, I've got more details in another video, so I'll include a link to that on how you go about clicking through it. In this video, I wanted to be very specific about the buying types and which ones you want to use. But the answer for now, and we test this regularly to make sure, it may well change in the future, but the answer for now, as of the recording of this video, is absolutely that you want to go ahead with auction. Okay, hopefully that's been useful. Before you go, some more very, very useful things I want to quickly mention. The first is a brand new free webinar I've created called the One Facebook Ads Technique That Will Supercharge Your Results More Than Anything Else. And if there's one thing you need to get right as a Facebook advertiser, it is covered in detail in this webinar. This is something I haven't talked about before, hardly at all, in my videos. I've had other webinars I've talked about, but this is a brand new webinar. Strongly recommend you check it out. It's about 50, 60 minutes long. There's a link in the video description below, completely free to go and watch it. As I said, I break down step by step, and if you can implement this technique as I show it, I think you've got a really, really good chance of succeeding with Facebook ads, improving the performance of your existing campaigns. So I strongly recommend you go ahead and check that out. Other thing I want to mention is YouTube channel membership. So you can now become a member of my YouTube channel. And members get certain perks. So the first of which is priority reply to comments. So as my channel has grown, it's become more and more difficult for me to reply to comments. So I'm prioritizing the people who are channel members, their comments first. So I'll answer their comments first and then get to other comments as much as I can, but there's only so much time I can dedicate to that, right? Members also get to participate in member-only polls, so they get to have a say around what sort of content I create next and all that sort of stuff. And it's just a great way to support my channel. If you appreciate my content, you've gotten value out of it, you want to find a way to reciprocate to some extent, you can become a channel member. It's a small monthly fee. You can click on the join button beneath this video, and that'll bring up a window that just basically gives you all the information about it, and you can see whether you'd like to become a member or not. If you've got comments and questions that you want me to answer, I'd strongly recommend it, because I know how important getting the right answers to those are, and I'm going to make sure I answer every single member comment, but I can't do that with regular viewers, of course. Anyway, if this has been useful, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and comment below. Whether you become a member or not, please leave a comment below. I said I will still try and answer comments from people who aren't members, of course, and I certainly see all the comments, so the feedback is always very useful. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.